Welcome back at 6:44. We're keeping an eye on the state of education this morning as schools across Western New York look into how they can bring all students back into classrooms 5 days a week. At least 4 school districts in Western New York have announced their plans to resume in-person learning 5 days per week. That started on Monday in Salamanca, set to start as early as next Monday for Pioneer, with both Lewiston Porter and Niagara Falls expected to be back by the end of the month. So this morning we're going in depth with one Southtown school district to find out where it stands on bringing students back in person full time and how it would all work. So this morning we're joined live by Michael Cornell, the superintendent of Hamburg Central Schools and the president of the Erie Niagara School Superintendents Association. Mr. Cornell, good morning to you. Let's break it down for all of the folks who are watching, because this is a broad, sweeping statement that some districts are not able to bring their students back, but yours is. How?
Well, good morning to you, Ed. Planning for us started early. We started late February, early March, bringing in our 3 large stakeholder groups, talking to our building-based shared decision-making committees, because it was clear to us at that point that there was going to be some change to the state's guidance. We didn't know when, we didn't know exactly what it was. Once we got to the middle of March, we had some expectation that it might mirror the CDC regulations to some degree. We didn't know exactly to what degree. So by the time we got to the end of March, I sent a notice out to our school community saying that in some way, we're going to return to fully in-person instruction on April 26th. It'll just depend on what the guidance allows us to do. So we sent that out before the spring vacation. We got the guidance this past Friday in the afternoon. We worked over the weekend and the last couple of days to get our plan kind of customized to what the state guidance actually said. And we notified our community that we're going to come back for the elementary kids, pre-K through 5, in fact, on April 26th, as we notified the community before the spring break. So it should have come as a surprise to no one in our community that we were coming back with the maximum allowable number of students on April the 26th. So we'll be ready to roll, and we're excited to welcome our youngest learners back on that day.
All things considered, your school district isn't as large as the Buffalo Public School District, but that aside, we heard from the superintendent, Kreiner Cash, in our last half hour, who said 3 feet is basically right next to each other. It's as if you had a class of 25, 30 students. They would all be in that classroom, and they are not ready to do that. So why are you ready to do that? Is it because you've been proactive, or perhaps you had been thinking ahead as if Buffalo perhaps wasn't?
Well, Buffalo aside, I mean, I can only talk about what we've done in Hamburg, which is we anticipated a change in the guidance. We planned for it. It's also worth mentioning there are amazing educators all across Western New York. But in Hamburg, our school employees, our team, our teachers union are just fantastic, invaluable partners in everything we do throughout the entirety of the COVID response and through all of the different adaptations we've had to make to our instructional model, and this is no different. So, great credit to our team for putting it together. And here's the other reality, Ed. In-person learning is safe. Transmission in school is extremely low. The science is clear that you're just as safe at 3 feet as you are at 6 feet. The Massachusetts study bore that out. The experience all across the country bears that out. And there is really no distinction between whether or not it's safe for kids in secondary and elementary, and they're just as safe at 3 feet or 6 feet, regardless of the transmission rate in the community. The science is clear on that. The CDC and the New York State Department of Health have chosen an especially conservative approach, which is why we are really comfortable with 3 feet and a mask at the elementary level. I mean, I've gone so far as to talk to Dr. Amy Falk, who published a study on the CDC website on that particular topic.
Sure. To
make sure that it's safe. I have no reservations about the safety of kids at 3 feet in a mask whatsoever.
Okay, Mr. Cornell, what do you tell parents in other districts, though, who are still waiting to get back to in-person learning 5 days a week? And, time is ticking before the end of the year.
Well, I can just say that superintendents all across Western New York are focused like a laser on this topic. I think every school district has its own context. Every school district has its own processes. Every Board of Education and superintendent had their own kind of unique relationship and how they like to work. So, while they may not be out with announcements, right away, I think that they can expect the school districts to work expeditiously on getting an announcement out. I know they're working. I know everybody's working like crazy to make it happen. So I would just suggest that they be patient and take comfort in the fact that their superintendents, their boards, their administrative teams, and their teachers are working like crazy to make it happen.
Michael Cornell, we certainly appreciate your time this morning and wish you luck as you head back to in-person learning 5 days a week. Thanks for your time this morning.